This is part 2 of Regina's rabbit hole, sharing with you my life about being a targeted individual. This is like the Truman Show thing. So, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I've been holding a lot in for a very long time. Good day, beloved. I've been holding a lot in for a very long time. And things have bumped up, like, they're really, really, really serious. And not only that they're serious, but that there's more logical connections that I could make to be able to share, with the family. So that's what I'm doing right now. This thing is just like, so how could it be me, and and kept grinning at me in my face. There we go, we're green again. Okay. Now, the Truman Show. The people around you. So, the Nazi paperclip thing is that on one hand, you're not supposed to know they're there. And on the other hand, they want you to know they're there. On one hand, if you act out, you're going to end up herded into one of those sectors that you don't want to be in, like psychology or the police station or dead or the, or you just don't want to end up there, okay? And on the other hand, so on the one hand, you don't want to react, but on the other hand, they're looking for a response, right? So on one hand, you're on hyper awareness that there's people messing with you, and on the other hand, you learn that you can't respond. So that's the Nazi paperclip kind of thing. Then you zero in and you start to learn how close they are to you and the antics that they're doing. What is helpful is having other targeted individuals who share their stories and talk about what's happening to them, and they publish books and stuff, and they can document, like, what's really helpful is people that were in the field of targeting individuals who know the field book and stuff and the kind of tactics and stuff that they use. It's like textbook kind of stuff, So what happens is you're gaslighted, and on one end, you're going to where there's self-help, and people are like, well, then make the moves to help yourself. So you go and do that, and you go to a shelter for women, because that's what women who are really want to be about their business, and they feel like things aren't going well where they are, and that they have a reason to leave, they use this the things that are allotted to us within the system, and that's what they do. So I was herded to our regular system, which is the domestic shelter system, and that's where I got the runaround even more, and it's where things got more confusing because as a person, I just want to say they're in a space where they're supposed to be helping people. So why don't I feel helped? Why aren't they helping me? In the same way that I felt when I went to the doctors and I was like, they're in the system of helping people. Why don't I feel helped? Or in the same way that I went to church and they were in the system of helping people. But when I asked certain questions or I had, certain things I wanted to share, they weren't really in the system of helping me. They were in a system of initiating a protocol that was already there for people. And so you walk around with this feeling like you're in interference, like, what I'm saying? You're abrasive, you become problematic just for being who you are. So just by being who you are and having questions about the system might agitate somebody upholding their position within the system. So I went into the shelter system thinking that maybe it's my personality. After I got kicked out, things didn't work out. They say that women that go through domestic violence, first of all, there's different types of domestic violence. There's psychological, physical, and financial. Okay, there's withholding the support of family members and services. There's people abusing their privileges like cops. Policing their women through that. And so you look at, there's been stories of women who were ex-wives of police who ended up in the targeted program. So there's many different groups of people in the targeted program that question the system for many different reasons. So you go to the shelter for women, and women are supposed to stick together, but for whatever reason, they feel like they have the right to abuse other women, and the churches are really funny teaching women how to abuse other women with their programming and stuff. They tell other women lies. All right, so you have pedophiles, thieves, murderers, and pimps, right, behind the scene telling other women not to like other women because they've made mistakes in their life, or because they curse, they swear, or because of the way they dress, or because of the color of their skin, or because they don't work, or because they're argue with their husband, whatever reason they put in, they just don't like you, they're jealous, and it's a good reason. Okay, so they give the people, the citizens, these little petty reasons to police their neighbors. These people are Catholics that you hear making all the noise next to me, often smile. I mean, the way that she did it too was like really funny. Like, I guess that's the clue for the gang stalkers. Like, what they'll do is, this is another part of the psych op, which I refer to as the Nazi paperclip type of stuff. Well, you'll say, the gang stalkers are bothering me, and you'll be having a little bit of an emotional meltdown where you need to let other people be aware, or you're trying to vent and you're trying to share your situation. They'll be they'll be predominant on your page, acting like they're, it's just one of the things that they do to like laugh at in your face, pretty much. Like, if you're a seer and you're empathic, or you ain't worth that much if you can't see me in front of your face. It's very humiliating and antagonizing, but you can't touch them, and they are not supposed to physically touch you unless they would be like a love bite situation where they're in your bed. You might have a woman you're sleeping with, or somebody you're sleeping with that was sent or paid or let off the hook in exchange for upholding their position of derailing you by any means necessary. And so when they knock you out of the systems that are supposed to help you, and you don't have a supporting cast, you have nowhere to go, that would be part of the psych op. You know what I'm saying? Is that this person that you're supposed to appreciate, you very much want to appreciate anybody there in your life willing to help, but yet they're there doing things that are demeaning and hurtful and gaslighting you and contributing to the pain that you're going through. And so it puts you in another dimension of feeling desperate and uncomfortable, when the whole time you're still hearing messages by those watching you, because it's a psych op and they're selling the information and they're playing with you to derail you, to confuse you, and make you pay attention to something else. And on top of it, the energy, the luge, that some of these demonic spirits feed off of is at its maximum when your brain is, going through this stuff and you feel helpless. People you hear in the conscious community, they're either a part of it or you're not looking deep enough to recognize that people want to get up and leave. And when they get up and leave, they're forced to go into certain systems. And those systems are full of people who got their degree and took oaths from the military or from church or whatever. And a lot of them are indoctrinated to ideas. A lot of these people that I bumped into in the system were very hurtful. But they were able to do technology and make it look like I was the one that was off or being hurtful by changing the narrative or by using the present narrative that we have. You're black and unimportant, and why would anything so spectacular happen to you? What do you mean you're being followed? What do you mean you have, what I'm saying? Weren't you listed as a drug addict? What do you mean you have loss of memory? What do you mean you might have a microchip in your ankle? What do you mean you have these visions and stuff like that? Nothing that you do or contribute is important. Meanwhile, you see your stuff, they're keeping tabs on you because they know by your date of birth, because of the sciences that they are able to be in charge of all this time while we were sleeping. They know who you are already via your date of birth. Your numerology and your astrology will tell who you are. Numbers don't lie. They show up in many different ways, just like the story of our ancestors show up in the language. All you can do is distort the message, but it's still going to be there. And so I left and I went into the shelter system, thinking that women were supposed to help me. The same way I went into the counselor system. First, I want to tell you, because I was on, when I went to AA, I met people that you think are going to help you. So one woman, I'm happy to have, this is a different woman, I'm happy to have for help. She was a counselor. So I know I'm an intellectual, she's an intellectual. Shoot, I helped my husband get his counseling degree. So it's not like I don't know the material. I studied psychology. It's not like I'm not an equal when it comes to intellectual interpretation, that I can't break it down and I don't know that stuff. So we can have a conversation. Only thing separating me from somebody else is economy, because they feel like their economy is better than mine. That their culture is better than mine, so they have their reason. You know what I'm saying? To feel like they're better than you. She had a business, beautiful personality. I thought I made a friend. They used to use the Scorpio energy against you a lot of times, or an energy that's counterproductive to your zodiac sign, to the energy that you're bringing. Usually it's a person that they'll throw in there that is abrasive to you. You know what I'm saying? It'll be that one or two signs that you just normally would rather not run up against, that you don't normally get along with easily. And when you're going through so many other things in your life, it's very easy to make that situation with a zodiac sign that is not your normal person that you'd want to communicate with, you know what I'm saying, the one that you would normally clash, it would make it that much easier, don't you think? When you have a lot of other stressors in your life, like economy and noise and people following you and feeling misunderstood and not knowing how to explain it. How in the world do you explain all this crazy stuff, that little old you is important to the normal population, that they're playing they're playing them, making them feel like it can't be them and they're stupid, keeping them at a lower vibration. And so you have to tread light. It's like walking on eggshells, you know what I'm saying? And one dimension, you don't want to turn the population off and make them think that you're demeaning them. And I hear a lot of the teachers and scholars doing that. You know, that's a way to feed the ego and stuff by demeaning people. I don't see what purpose that freaking serves. You may be getting a message out there, but it still has that edge to it that's counterproductive. Although some people, I would individualize that. If you talk to a group of people and you give a message and it's the truth, and certain people don't want to listen and they want to act out, just don't bother with them. But then if they push it, then, you know what I'm saying, you go for the, you know what I'm saying, you go for the kahunas and you put them in your place. But I wouldn't go straight for the juggler, like you're reaching spiritually for someone's juggler because they just didn't know. And a lot of times, you know, that's for hard-headed people. Hard-headed people are not usually willing to like go this far to learn all this stuff and listen to what we're learning. We're usually not hard-headed. You might have to repeat yourself, but it's just timing. It's not being hard-headed. Anyway, she was a counselor, and so I was picking up some things. I like the thrift store. I had a few bucks and I needed to get something for something. Oh, I had left. Got me a little room. Was happy. Got me a little room. Trying to balance myself. Going to the meetings. Looking for a sponsor but didn't pick one. She's going there. Has some years. Has a business. She's a counselor. We go check out some stuff that I need. I go to the thrift store. I think that she's very friendly. We go to her house. Meet her dogs, check out her pad. She's doing very well. See her business. She invites me to do my therapy part because I had stayed away. I was a hermit and I had stayed away from therapy for many years because I've been paranoid. Been staying away from them, right? Logic. But now I'm trying to tell, I'm minimizing everything in order to move forward. So I don't pay attention to any red lights at all inside. I tell my ancestors, in order for me to do this, it's literally got to sit on my face for me to know that it's you, because they got so much stuff coming at me, you know what I'm saying? So that's the deal. I don't pay attention to everything, even if I see it basically in front of my face. It's got to sit down and block my freaking breathing. Be like, wait, I think there's something here that I should pay attention to. And that's the way that they treat the retard who's been indoctrinated into society in the matrix, who doesn't know her ancestors until it's sitting on her face. And that's the way they got to do me, because they got us overwhelmed with so much, and thank goodness that they'll even spend the time to do that. And it's not being hard-headed. It's just timing. It's just the suppressing. It's just the indoctrination that we've been through. And this Truman Show, this Nazi paperclip thing is just like really nutso. You wouldn't think, like, a lot of times you can't believe what is going on in front of your face. So I'm there and I'm dropping everything else, desperately trying to make a friend. She knows, just a counselor, she knows I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and she knows I'm educated. Deep inside, I'm just hoping that she's not messed up, hoping that I can continue to ignore my feelings that something is wrong. And so basically I'm feeling like a plastic person by ignoring my empathic feelings. It's like something is wrong, something is off. But what? Because the road hasn't fallen out before you, there's no confirmation. So you may see pictures and glyphs and flashes and you not know how to internalize them yet while you're learning certain particular parts that the ancestors are showing you. Okay? So on one hand, real life is blocking you and you're a TI. And on the other hand, you're this mystical being awakening and paying attention as to how the different aspects to how your ancestors speak to you. So you're hearing these voices. Dare you even freaking listen to the different voices? Because if you studied, you know they're also using sound and noise, voice-to-skull technology, and sound and noise frequency, right? So this stuff gets complicated. And it's like the Truman Show. And they have these people who were in the service, who part of the reserves, they're in abundance. How many children go and become a part of the military? And how many different dimensions of the military are there? How many different things can you study to become with the money that they give you to go to college with when you get in there? You know, and that's another way that you can compete with the 1% and their ability to be able to educate themselves and get whatever resources they want to educate themselves. You know, building computers like Chern and sending generations of people to colleges and seminaries and stuff so that they become the clergy, you know, of the Vatican and stuff, and the keeper of secrets and magic and stuff, and know, you know, what is the layout of Washington D.C. mean, and how to exactly wield that energy that flows through the Oval Office and ish like that. They know. Not the normal nigga, ignorant person. That's what nigga means, ignorance. Not the normal nigga that's disenfranchised, part of society, or paid to uphold the law. A lot of the military are also police, ex-military, you know, police ex-military. My mom was ex-military and also a cop at one time. And then she was a security guard. I have all my uncles served. I got cousins that served. It was one of the things, female and male cousins that served. I'm the black sheep. They don't really talk to me. And I used to do all kinds of stuff. At one point, when I started getting my scruples back after the mind control and the hospitals and, you know, being ostracized and being isolated, to get back to know them and feel like I was just struggling like beating a dead horse. They on my Facebook page. This is a wide open, real spiritual deal. No lie. I am so transparent. I've told no lies. I've minimized in order to save face so that I don't look too crazy while you catch up to the fact that the real freaking flick, real movie, the real deal is right here. Like what I was saying in the first piece, like check out the trifold aspects of breaking down what happened with Sophia Stewart and her material, and the metaphor of it being the Matrix, and the metaphor of it coming from the ancestors, and the metaphor of her being a child of Zion, and the light rays and how it came down and manifested itself through our sister, and then how they did our sister, and how she was a part of, you know what I'm saying, those people, you know, Muhammad Ali, how she was a part of the educated system, you know, the ones that go to college and, you know what I'm saying, become caretakers of our society. It shows you how sick it is that even them who helped to uphold society into the way that they said that they wanted fashion, they even do them wrong in order to make some money and uphold position, to look like it's only them who are able to be creative or heal anything or be fruitful. Islam means fruit of Muslim means fruit of Allah, means the fruit of God. Muslim. Right. And Hebrew means all people. Hebrew. But that other part, Israelite or Islam, makes it go in a whole nother dimension. But that's another gear that I switch into, okay, when I start studying occult systems. What I'm talking about right now are the social dynamics. I'm just talking about myself and what I deal with in my ordinary life. We're doing the Truman Show. These gang stalkers are soulless. They behave soulless. And these are the demons. These are the allegiances and the oaths and stuff that were taken. The they is us. We're the minions and the soldiers out here. the mothers and the fathers and the cousins and the aunts and the uncles, the citizens are upholding this mess that we're in without changing it due to pressure, or just they like it. They're paying bills, or it gives them some kind of status. But whatever it is, they use our weaknesses against us. Maybe it's greed, maybe it's lust, maybe it's envy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Maybe it's not seeing the universal principle that all is self, the connectivity. So I'm sitting on her sofa, and I realize, you know, as an empath, I think this woman is gay. And I said something, but it was more like an inquiry. And she said something, what she said back to me sounded like an accusation, like I was hitting on her, which I wasn't. I was inquiring. But the whole situation threw me off because the gaslighting went from 0 to 100 when she found an entry. And Scorpios, when they're on that crazy stuff, or even in general, snakes, they do that with the gaslighting. So 1 minute, just like with Julia, when I was in the car and we're riding and we're being friends and talking about being family, and she asked me if I would move in, you know, she told me that she had an apartment that I could move into if I wanted to. I didn't take the opportunity. I think deep down inside that burned a fire that wasn't too good. You know what I'm saying? She was doing her role and her acting, and I was trying to ignore that and say, no, this is not happening. It's not happening. It was sitting on my face, and I was joking on it, and I was like, nope, it's not happening. I'm imagining things. But yes, it was happening. Okay, I was being policed by one of the people that I was in the self-help space with. What you see here, what you hear here, let it stay here. But a lot of them have backgrounds. That woman worked for a judge at one point. And I was also making these connections and putting these little pieces of the puzzle on the shelf, like Dr. Phil Valentine taught us when we were watching a movie. Take the notes, right? Well, a lot of times I'm taking notes literally and figuratively about this Matrix movie, this illusion that they have running in front of my face that I've been dealing with since I was a child, that I've been deciphering since I was a child. My birth date is 2269, 1969, and I was born at 609. You do the astrology. This is Siren Bodhisattva medicine. My bloodline is under attack, has been under attack. Now, I don't know what those who came before me knew, or if they've been in agreement with, but I know when I popped out, I was not in freaking agreement. And I've been feeling like my butt was on fire ever since. True that. Okay? Now, this woman's a counselor, and I'm trying to ignore everything. I think I asked her something about, I can't remember exactly now. I think I wrote it down somewhere just so I could make sure, but I don't have that note in front of me now. And somehow she turned it around to where she thought I was hitting on her. And I'm like, oh, no. That's not what was happening. And then I had to go back. When I went back in my brain, that's how I figured out who she was. I was thinking it was just an odd encounter, and maybe my personality had set the things off balance. And I was saying maybe it was the way that I said things, and I didn't address the way that it happened. I thought that it was maybe just a miscommunication, but because it was awkward, I just wasn't going to deal with it and just let it go. Then when I looked back, I realized that she must have thought that I was, attracted to her and hitting on her. I didn't know she was gay. I was inquiring through my empathic self. So that it was something that I didn't know, that when I found out, turned against me, and she thought that I was hitting on her. Now, this is a person that I had just trusted that asked me to go to her facility. And then we were supposed to just leave it there. So that's the other part where we're supposed to have trust parts and stuff. We were supposed to just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. This has happened to me before with some of these gaslighters and stuff. She had a military background. She had her own business. She was going to the meetings, and I was trusting her. And she was a therapist, certified, mandated to report on both ends, y'all. And at the time, I wasn't making these equations. I wasn't trying to make them. I was just looking for what I needed so I could situate myself, because we don't want crybabies and people feeling sorry for themselves. It's part of universal law that, see how they play with your mind? They know the universal principles and stuff, so that if you change your vibration and you say your positive informations and you hang around with positive people and you look for them and you do all the things, eventually you're gonna come up out of what you need to come up out of. But they do the dark magic where they usurp the energy, and you end up running into people that are paid by them, government agents and stuff. And so it depletes your energy, and you start to feel like you're doing something wrong, until you read book like Project Soul Catcher, you know, and hear people like Anthony Patch and other really great fighters against gang stalking and government terrorism, which is human trafficking. So I was in an apartment, in a room on my own, paying my rent, went to look for the therapist, go into my self-help thing, and was doing my best to get on my feet. And this woman gaslighted me and abused her position by being one of the gang stalkers. Me challenging that would make it look like I'm crazy. She's a mandated therapist. I had to watch the way I stepped there. And for a long time, it was like a lot of people that I met, the freaking narrative was like they were trying to herd me into the hospital where my daughter is. She's been trying to get out of there, and they've been doing all kinds of stuff. And because I don't have the economy to fight it, and I'm fighting this, just trying to stay level mentally, taking notes and stuff, you know, whether it's mental or literally, while I'm learning and learning to listen to our ancestors so that I can be beneficial and helpful, because we're on the front line. As I grow, there's the white truck. As I grow, there's more and more people that are waking up. There's more and more of us that are waking up. I'm watching like all kinds of stuff happen around me. As usual, it's a normal thing. The point is to derail you and to hack your nerves up to the point where you're distracted. They be cutting off your internet and making noises and all kinds of stuff. The street performances, hitting you with rays and all kinds of stuff. They got the bum staying over there in the parking lot. He's military. The businesses around here, the biker joint, affiliated with the police. I told you about first response. Those are the things that you learn about when you learn about how they're policing citizens. There's a U-Haul place. Of course, you want to know where people coming and going from when they rent trucks, right? What address they left from, what address are they going to, all in the database. And then there's a place that fixes cars and stuff like that, you know. But all of the military background, you know, they're freaking the vets, they need jobs, and jobs are scarce, and jobs are very scarce in Waterbury, Connecticut. Bridgeport is a dead zone, so it's very easier, it's a lot easier to get people to be snitches and to be a part of these programs, these vets and the students, the reserves, how the college filled up with military reserves. Then what do? And become, they're policing the citizens, policing each other, but what's policing them? The AI system and the rest of the stuff they do under MK. Remember Born Identity? That movie? Good day, beloved. So that was my experience with her. So, you know, I had a lot of strange experiences. I still keep struggling with my experience with AA, the whole past and the affiliation with other religious affiliations and stuff, with the background and historical stuff of that too. And the Vatican comes in, and the control of money and the 1%, it all ties in with the military, and end up using your own people to police you and paying for them. Like the police are actually corporate, they're not for citizens, even though we think they're supposed to be for citizens, to help police the citizens. They're really there to police corporate because they need to get paid. If they can't get paid, that's the motivation for everything, not community, but a paycheck so that you can live, and you need a paycheck first, right? So it's the Truman Show. We've been going through multiple traumas as a people, not seeing ourselves in the scenario. And the they is us. The mysterious hidden people is us. And so they're laughing and they're warring with each other. You got Masons and military fighting with each other. And then you have the Vatican, and you have the wizards and the warlocks and the witches who get paid to do their stuff. And you have this AI system, and they're hurting people in all kinds of directions. But if you say something like that, you're supposed to be crazy. Wake the blip up. Stop it. That's why we're getting slaughtered and stuff like that. Man, they killed so-and-so probably to take their freaking organs. Or maybe they were finished with hacking their brain hack and the information that they had. I don't know. Who knows? We won't know as slow as we're going trying to catch up. Oh, it don't have nothing to do with us. That's some crazy stuff. It's not us. Let's go to the movies. It's happening to us. I'm going to tell you the next part. That's how I was. That's what I was thinking. And so when I was thinking contrary to that, my brain was going crazy. Our ancestors are very careful with me and gentle at the level of insight that they're giving me to be able, and what I've been through, the amount of trauma, to help me deal with my environment and how they're policing me. The abuse that I've been through via family with incest, being an incest survivor on multiple levels. Not being able to speak about it. There are so many levels to this. I thought I was just an incest survivor, you know, just one of those women who wanted to succeed at having a family and raising some healthy daughters, right? To stay married and get up in the church and have some sense of morality and spirituality, to be accepted by community. What? Isn't that what every ex-hooker want? When she jump up in the church? What? And get on her knees and look to the community for help and for restitution. That's the whole church. None of us are without sin. For none of us are without sin. For those without sin, cast the first stone. And the hypocrisy going on. What? Okay. So, you go for help. They distort the help. You just don't want to go crazy. You're trying to dismiss stuff so that you can actually get it. You're just surviving. You're like, oh my gosh, I have children up in this mix. You're making the equations. The average person doesn't know what's going on, so you have to educate them. That's any teacher that's teaching any system that's going on that you're trying to stop. I think I had mentioned Dr. Minister Inky that's doing biochemistry, black genetics, and teaching about that. How if it hadn't been for Bobby Hemmett and people like Morrow, Dr. Morrow, Tim Morrow, just people who were, Dr. Francis Scott Westling, started to color outside the lines and see the psychology and the different social, to dare, because they didn't do like Shakespeare and hide stuff to tell you what was going on within society, the remnants of the repercussions of the Moorish ancient Hebrew Israelite past that we have, our ancient history that I keep mentioning on the planet, and our extraterrestrial history that we want to ignore on the planet and dismiss all that because it's over our pay grade, meaning it's too much meat for us to digest spiritually. That's too much spiritual food for us, so they feed us and allegories, and they feed us the stupid stuff. We go to the movies to hear and look at somebody else have a fantastic story and say that it isn't real, but where do they get it from if it all starts with a thought? And if you can literally look up the technologies that we were looking at in the movies 20 years ago, what is going on? Why aren't we waking up? And is it possible that we've been under mind control, whether we're cooperative with the process or not, coerced or not? How can you be having children up in this piece, getting the paycheck from this, these families? And I'm looking at this, even if you're excused and they let you out, get out of jail free card, or a pat on the back because, you get a be a good nigger sticker because you're a counselor, and, or you're a citizen that's paid to report, took an oath to be a mandated reporter to the citizens. Like, you're not really helping them. You're hurting them through systems that will make money. So I was already in an apartment, and I ended up leaving there and coming back. In that system in psychology, they say that the average woman in domestic violence leaves about 6 times. That's how hard it is before she actually stays gone. One of the reasons why it's so hard is for a woman to get in that situation, she's already had to have certain social dynamics in place, like isolation, or to be severed from family support systems, or economy, or a mental instability, or addiction. So there's already things that are going to be there, and they're there deliberately many times if you're a TI. So it's very easy to use normal situations that make people look like they're booty, like they're bums, that would make them adversive to people that are busting their butt every day, going to work and doing the things that they needed to do, and a part of one frame of thought. It would make them look, because those people have been indoctrinated to one frame mind of thought. They would never think that the person that they're looking at is actually being abused systematically. It's made to look like that person is doing it to themselves, or they're crazy. Meanwhile, people that are part of the clergy, maybe they feel like it's like a witch hunt. Maybe they're getting paid, helps them pay their rent. Or maybe they're the military and it's the oath. They're a bunch of bandits, and it's just that one. We don't need to know why. Just get that one and uphold whatever it is they told you to do. They tell you to push the button, don't ask any questions. And so you're surrounded by this. And a lot of times, just like when I was in the hospital, they did something to me, and they can erase your memory too. They did things, and there's mind control. That's why I use Born Identity as an example. And there's lots of movies where they give you the disclosure. Even when you study what used to be conspiracy theories about the Montauk Project, or citizens that feel like they've been abducted, when they get to the bottom of it, they find out that there's a lot of military presence with that. That's big tech and big news. So you telling me the military is running around acting like they aliens, and they have the ability, they have their hands on high tech? They have cloaks that can cloak you, make you look invisible. They have sonar. They have technology that can actually do vital scans and stuff on your body. They'll let you know what they have and what they've done to you through the media. They like to use the media. I remember at one point years ago, I would think, I have totally had a psychotic break. The TV is talking to me. And I didn't understand the spiritual stuff at all, because I didn't have anybody to teach me. I didn't know nothing about really, other than what I was taught in church about demons and possession and energy and government conspiracy or any of that. I was just basically studying the Bible, and I was trying to decode it, and something in me snapped. Like, I would read the Bible with the concordance, and the words would highlight. They would show up like yellow, like a highlighter. I had nobody to talk to about that. I didn't have the right diet. I didn't know about energy. I didn't know about occult systems or spirituality or shaman or any of the stuff that you needed to know when your kundalini is rising and you're ascending and the creator is, our ancestors are speaking to us, and spiritual energy. I didn't know about intention or cleaning ourselves out, having setting intentions. I was just an open vessel for this energy coming at me, and they were watching me, and I just got splattered. I freaking scrambled, ended up in the hospital thinking I was crazy again before I found out all this stuff. They stuck me on some pills. I just wanted to forget. I didn't know what the freak was going on. I didn't know it was a gift. I didn't know that it was something that needed to be developed. I didn't know that our ancestors was, I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. I really didn't know the validity of it, the depths of it. Okay, so that's the layers of how many of us is waking up out there with different things. It's not the same thing, you know? There are many different things that are awakening from within us that we're not even supposed to have, that we don't even think that we have the right to or that we're privy to. Okay. So I've, while being scrambled and derailed and misguided and frustrated, I still fought not to be the victim. Although things were happening to me, I couldn't explain or stop. And studying universal law, and you are what you say you are, and then looking at your situation, it just really does something for your spirituality and personal development. The difference between what really is and what people say there is, you know, is. Because I knew how desperate I was trying, and I was not trying, doing my very best to make it happen for me, but feeling like I was under some curse, like things were working against me, and it started to be broken down, that it wasn't just the spiritual energy they were sending my way, that they know how to wield via our ancient sciences, because it's alchemy and it's science, to be able to sway the energy. It was also the military and the Masons and the way that they police information and the way that they feel like they have to be, it's just some kind of law that they have to be on top. They have to be the ones giving you the demonstration, like it's some kind of, you know what I'm saying? They have to be the ones to give it to you. That's the mirror. Because you didn't take those oaths and make those decisions and do that. So they snatch your goodies and they keep their foot on your neck while they're mass producing your stuff with these technologies, literally feeding. They can literally, if you study human design, how one person may be the thinker in an area, the initiator of thought, and other people are not. They think that they are, but they're not. They're not meant to think jack. They just feel like they're meant to think according to the way society dictates the way that we interact with each other. So John, one of the teachers online that teaches human design, goes into that aspect and invites you to join into the human design experiment, where you learn about what type of energies you have. That part is free. You can go online right now on YouTube and online in general and look up human design. I think it's John Martin. But when my brain is going so fast, sometimes information gets a little off when I go to take it out of the cache there, out of my repertoire. But I think that that's it. But you'll find it if you look up the different parts. Just look up human design. And when you see a dude named John, because he's a predominant master teacher in that, taking over for this dude named Ra, who passed away, who initially got the systems from an epiphany that he got from a Kundalini awakening. And what is a Kundalini awakening? It's what I was teaching you guys. It is when you get the information from the sun. So like one way it's coming this way, but then you have to process it, and it comes back up this way. And so we take the energy after it's processed, and we move it up this way. It's a spiritual energy. There's many different ways to receive the energy, right? Check out, because he says it better than me right now, Minister Inky, Dr. Inky, on his presentation on vaccines and measles and milk, on fire right now, coming head to head with the gang stalkers. He's a Mason. It's really interesting to watch. He's a Mason and they're military, and flat earth, and him talking about that it's not flat. I mean, that goes into a whole nother thing, but I'm seeing the different energies collide. One aspect that he brought was the water. I've been around a while watching how we see the different, why it's so important, why we need each other. It's a puzzle. There's this thing called the tetrahedron, and it's a shape. And within this shape, check out Dan Winters and his sacred geometry. Not the part this time in regards to the extraterrestrial history of the planet. That part too. But check out him talking about sacred geometry and energy. He is an electrical engineer that went into the spiritual sciences and stuff with heart coherence and things like that. So, being able to empathize and plug into the planet, to the planetary grid, is vitally important. How they did it was through technology, with Shuren and all this technology that I already named, with like the voice to skull technology and all that kind of stuff. And they play with our heads and make us think that people like us are crazy, but we're the ones that have the information that's able to put the pieces together so that we can actually have community and family that's more healthy. So they're derailing us and keeping people that are upholding the oaths in a situation that's parasitic. And so hurt people, and sick people make more sick people. And so we're the snake that eats itself. Luckily, this is the time that we're in, where the energy is being revamped and things are flopping around. And the actual spiritual energies, our ancestors, are actually rooting for us, because they've been playing with a lot of dark energy in this matrix. And that's what they use to keep the troops under the mind control, or the willingness to want to do harm or to not have empathy. It takes a lot of energy. You know, that 5G, being able to push out that thought straight through the white matter into the brain, you know what I'm saying, with no barrier, is very vital right now in regards to pushing thought into the matrix and brainwashing people. So we've been volunteering, doing it for ourselves. Excuse me, let me fix my pen. Excuse me. We've been volunteering, you know, that's the cosign, doing it for ourselves. When we pick certain things off the buffet of the culture and society that they allotted for us. And when we can't see anything else but the menu in front of our face that they gave us, we think that we have choice. And then when they make it look really good, when somebody's eating something, and they say, ooh, that looks really, ooh, that doesn't look good at all. They say, doesn't that look really good? That sandwich that you're eating. And we're like, oh man, now I'm hungry. When somebody, it's frequency, it's alchemy. When somebody laughs, or they think something's funny, like what just happened to me, all of a sudden, you know, it's a vibrational frequency, it's funny. So, when you put a suppressing depressive spirit within an environment, it's not so funny. And it can also be felt on the consciousness grid. Okay. You know something funny about clothing? After you wear it, I mean, everything is so alive. After you wear it all day and it starts to stretch out and stuff, it's just not in the same place that it was 5 hours ago. It starts to move around. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. And I don't got time for that. So please, family, just deal with me. All right. So, moving on. The shelters. The average woman, how they policing, there's a war on women. They're using the dynamics of people fighting for whatever little consciousness space that they can get from the menu that they told us they can have. And one of the things on the menu within our social arena is men being able to speak and teach, and women, it's still kind of like that, even though women do speak and teach like you're listening to me now, you know, predominantly. And look worldwide, you know, how women are pretty much, even the amount of education to be in the same arena to speak, where men were educated, you know. Dr. Francis Scott was just phenomenal for me to be able to see. That was healing. It's very therapeutic to be able to see our men and women that make sense, that go against the grain, or that have something intellectual or spiritual to contribute outside of what we see. Our children are using slang words, talk about I'm dead. That's a vibrational frequency. They feel dead. The current is stagnant, and it's stagnant because of what has happened that I already discussed. So we know we're in the hands of this hidden hand, is us being forced to police, or just policing because that's our nature, right? Like pedophiles will look for the place where they can get their hands on children. So they'll become maybe Boy Scout leaders or clergymen or something. Anywhere where, you know, maybe somebody's husband, they'll, you know, or somebody's wife. Yeah. Okay? So that they can have the opportunity, they'll come as a stepfather or stepmother, so they have the opportunity to abuse. And there's many ways that people look for ways to abuse, and these energies are actually presences of, they're thirsty. They need to eat, they need to feed. And when you study energies and the altar and how they were managing the energies with sacrifices or altars or prayer, they were giving things. And I don't mean sacrifices only as in, because there's many layers to this, and I'm not going into the history, like just people or animals, and killing. I mean sacrificing as in sectioning them off. We're being sacrificed now when you do this to people. This is literally, it's been torture, years of torture, until the person, like, they send a suicide signal where they want you to commit suicide. While you're hurting and in pain and going through all this stuff, they just watch you. And I don't know what they've been told. What can somebody possibly be told? Or they're willing to look at someone suffer so much until they die or commit suicide, until their heart gives out because they sent them a signal. There's people on the front lines that are being poisoned, that are getting all kinds of death threats. So they set up the situation where people are under mind control, where you know, your spouse kills you, or some strange bum in a parking lot kills you. You know, people are trying to figure out, you know, these weird scenarios. People are getting shot. Well, maybe they just wanted their organs, or maybe they wanted them to shut up. Police have their own freaking oath. It's like oath on top of oath on top of oath. And then you guys are having children, you know, they're having children and putting them up in the mix. You know, well, does that become your population, the ones that just don't know? So at least you can have some space. That's the space where you can live, is the person with that didn't take the oath. But look at all the oath takers and what they're doing. So you literally, even if your child or your peoples don't know, and are walking around and you're providing for them with the opportunity that you gained from being a gang stalker, right? They're still subject to get, they better color within the lines or they're going to end up becoming a part of the program or on somebody's list. They piss off a spouse. They piss off, like on part one, I shared a story of a woman that told me about how she didn't mean to challenge that judge. She was just trying to tell the truth about her predicament, and the guy was just nasty. And just for her standing up for herself, he got in more trouble. More of what he was doing was exposed, and that pissed her off, and she ended up on the hit list as being a TI. So now when she's trying to go into the shelter system or get help, they're moving her into the worst situations deliberately and policing her that way, where she can't seem to get good luck. She can't seem to get a break somehow. And she's being policed that way, and she's a part of the targeted individual program. And the nastiness of it is they want you to know that they're doing it and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the part that goes deep into the desperation, where you feel like people feel like they just want to die. And then on top of it, they have other people talking about, well, if there's a problem where you are and you're hurting, just get up and leave then. Just get up and leave then. Those are the taunters. You must not know that when you get up and leave, what happens. I'm going to share with you what happens when you get up and leave. What happened to me. This is my personal story. I don't know about you. I went to the shelter where they're supposed to help women. And just like, you know, the families and stuff around you that have children. There was this child, part of the, one of the cuter ones, was this little girl of the street performances. She was with her mother. And she said, but why do they keep doing that? Well, I guess she knew my story. I don't know how much of the history or backdrop that some of them have. It's like being in a game, like, what was that movie with the hummingbird? What was the name of that movie that we just finished watching? Where they had the different sections and stuff. They called her Hummingbird, and it was like a game. The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games. How many people have been in power with money, with the knowledge about occult systems, and the regular everyday person is just, you know, trying to catch up, trying to figure out what happened. So they're all like these different fractions affiliated with an aspect of knowing, you know. Even if it's that they know they have the right to push the button and you have the right to be tortured. And they were told some cockamamie story. So anyway, the little girl says, why, Mom? She says, well, I guess it's like they're trying to do like she's like Job. And they'll talk. Some of them will spend time talking at you like you're, they're watching a movie on TV. And that's always wild. You know, but you bet not touch them, because if you do, they got you right where they want you, and they have the police to herd you right into the hospital where they can pump your butt full of medicines. You have no rights at all, just like you were arrested, and you have no rights at all when you're arrested, right? When you're in jail, you lose your ability to vote, right? You don't have any rights. So that's how they're hurting people. They herded a lot of the male population that was able to breed and contribute to ideas and stuff to society. Check this out. As a social dynamic, this is alchemy and anthropology or sociology. A universal law, I already shared, is that lack of liberation, addiction is a sign of lack of liberation. Okay? Not an excuse, in alchemy. If liberation is stifled, addiction will show up because it's the way the energy moves. Okay? So you know, if you stifle the resources in a social dynamic, right? Because they have the zip codes and stuff like that. It's like little petri dishes. They can see the bigger picture, you know. Like, like giants, you know what I'm saying? So what I want to, I lost my train of thought for a second. I'm listening to the different realms of noise around me just to catch up for a moment. So they're using us to police ourselves. And there are many different layers, is what I'm wanted to point out. And so I'm just going to move on. I go to the shelter, and you want to tell your mind, if you want to survive, that you minimize a lot of things, okay? Just so that I can have a conversation and get along with people. That's right. Because if you go off, they have these systems that are willing to cart you off to the hospital or to jail, and you lose your rights altogether. So that's the game, and it's like a Hunger Game, okay? And there's lots of movies that'll give you disclosure, and we're looking at the movies thinking that it's them and not us. And it's actually mimicking stuff that's being played out in the unconscious mind, in this matrix, in real life, like what happened with Sophia Stewart and some other peoples that aren't so mainstream. And even her, who is mainstream, had to fight to be able to get her freaking story heard. It's still not been paid. They're paying the system to keep them out of jail while they're not paying. And so there's systems fighting each other. That's what I was saying right now. How it's gotten so toxic, right? Those who have been in charge and using the people within its system as pawns and pieces within a chess game, that you don't have a choice really but to fight back. I don't care where you are, unless you just want to go with whatever little morsel that they gave you. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what they were waiting for, knowing that it doesn't make any sense. Hoping that they'll be the ones, you know, with the bunkers and the technology that can save them, whether it's going back in time even, and changing the narrative, or policing the narrative, or using the population that's policing the targeted individuals as a buffer, using you guys as a buffer to police us, knowing that it has spiritual maximum spiritual ramifications. But before you figure it out, your participators and people who participated don't know what the repercussions is going to be. You already did it, right? And that's how this thing is like on crazy, buco, stupid lockdown, making your children sick and anything that comes out of you sick, because energy never dies, it only transforms. But they want you to ignore the spiritual energy and only pay attention to their spiritual energy via allotted to you by way of the systems that are allowed within the matrix. And anybody else is supposed to shut up. And you kill them until we all die. Or they'll make you think that they're crazy and keep the part of the brain on shutdown, on lockdown. So we'll just laugh at them and make them feel like they're the idiots. Meanwhile, on a higher scale, you're getting laughed at and you're the idiots. And the ones that know are the ones wielding the power, who really have the information of the systems, the ones telling us to be quiet. They don't want you to know what you're doing and the greater ramifications of what you're doing to people like us has on the system. So you really want medicine and you really want a life and you really want this to be okay, you wouldn't be doing that, because the spiritual ramifications, see, first you got to know. Our ancestors are letting you know. There's no way they can keep it a secret. You're going to find out that what you're doing, you're going to be able to have that space where you can make a choice. I went to the shelter And they had a choice to help me or not help me several times. But I was policed. This is really good. So there's this dude who did our taxes before. Did mine. Whatever, since you want to play games, I ain't gonna worry about the fact that I know they all work together anyway. Deal with it. Okay, so me having problems with the shelter thing, you know, you're around people and they get to know your character and you're looking for people that you can trust. Regina, what's wrong? Yada, yada, yada. I'm back there. I need to leave again. Don't know what to do. I'm trying to be responsible. I want to be responsible and be accountable for the position that I'm in as a woman. Or we can call this one and that one, see if we can do some things. I've had a history in the past that too changed my life around the churchy thing.
I too was a domestic violencer. I actually initiated the violence, and because God came into my life and changed me, I no longer do this thing. You can ask my wife.
Yes, he was abusive. He no longer does that thing. We have God in our life more now, and we have recovery. There's the AA thing again. This dude has a military past. Well, hope you, before I started putting more pieces together, they gotta be it, right? They own a business, they're kind, they're in church. Why would this minister wanna, why would he wanna yank my chain? What's in it for him to yank my chain? If you can get up off your butt, take responsibility for yourself, and do something about your situation. You don't just sit there, girl, right? You saying you're being abused. If you're being abused, you get up out that piece. What's wrong with you? So I get up out the piece again. I tried to. Let me tell you what happened. Give them my number. They're supposed to text me. We'll do dinner, right? Now, I already had a couple that I was friends with, but that got blackballed because the love bite lied on me and made it so intrusive for them to deal with me. I would be at the gym and he would call them up and say that I said that I was with them. And them being at church and being a couple and him being a minister and a minister's wife, they would call me like, hey, Gina, what's up? He said it, you said that you were over our house. You know what I'm saying? We could have been just having a conversation. They didn't even push me and all that. They knew that I wasn't a Christian up in the church and all that kind of stuff. We were friends. I have a good personality, a lot of valuable conversation. We were just sitting and chilling, have coffee or tea and just talk. And it was really nice to have that. But they really wanted to meet him. And so I allowed that. Because Christians just want to push things and believe that what they're doing in their methods, it was an ego thing. And so I let them in and opened the door, and that allowed for the manipulation of the friendship that I had with that minister and his wife. So here I am again. This is a minister and his wife, so I wasn't really suspecting that they were a part of this policing. So I gave my number to the couple. We were going to have dinner. It would have been a place to be, someone to talk to, some kind of camaraderie or friendship, right? Some place to change my vibrational frequency where I can have an moment, not just when I'm dancing, being the only time that I'm free or with my children. When I'm not talking to them about this stuff to overwhelm them, because you can't do that. So I'm sitting with this heavy space a lot unless I'm teaching about different aspects until I could get the point where you knew enough to be able to share my story and the parts connected. If you go back and look at videos or information, or if you studied, if you had to have studied enough somewhere else to even be able to keep track of what I'm saying enough to listen to me, that kind of mentality, to tell my story, for it to make sense, being a TI this long. And having so many things that they're doing while I'm trying to teach and explain and share my life with you. It happening interactive. Me being assaulted, and attacked and confused and derailed and unplugged and all kinds of stuff and unsupported, while I'm really working within this realm that you're looking at me in, for you to actually have the mentality to be able to see me. And then that's when we know that we've hit the sweet spot, that we've grown, because you can see me. Gonna have to end this soon, where my tablet's gonna die again. Excuse me. Okay, so that guy right there, I ended up seeing them in a doctor's office mysteriously by chance. That's the way stuff like this happens with the street performing. She was getting something done with her colon, and my daughter needed to do something with her tooth. So I'm in there and we have an appointment the same day. Oh, cute, honey, I'm coming. We had an appointment the same day, and I see them there, and they had given me the number to be able to get something to eat. And I'm already building this relationship. Now their intel knows it takes me a while to build in a relationship or rapport, okay? So I'm walking down the street. When they gave me the number in the office, my empath feeling say something is wrong. What's going on? Are they hitting on me? Or is it just weird? Or because how does this, wife, because her husband is the one who came and took the number. But I'm always careful because of what I've been through, okay, with men and women and that social dynamic with people being snakes, to make sure that the women are comfortable with me. So when he came and got the number instead of her, I don't care who the flip you are, I see. You can wear whatever label you want to on your chest. I want to make sure that it's okay. It's a family thing, right? So that's the reason why I thought that. And I remember thinking that so clear. Is he hitting on me? What's going on? Is this okay? Is she okay with it? None of that other stuff came out. I'm walking down the street and I'm near their freaking office. This is the voice to skull technology. This is the big freaking platform, okay? This is one of the times. Now they're supposed to be the ones helping me, that offered to help me to go into a woman's thing. There's so many different dynamics to this thing too, that you're just like, no, this is not happening. Anyway, I'm walking up the street, and these gang stalkers that are like street performers, they said, he wasn't hitting on you, you freaking bitch. He didn't want you. Where did that come from? Not in my mind. People walking down the street, and that's the only thing they said. That's the kind of crap that they do. So remember I told you about the Neuralink, and I told you about the Silicon Valley, and I told you about how they're usurping the thoughts through the Vatican. Yeah, your very freaking thoughts in your mind in order to police this. Because when we wake up, that means that they lose power, and they are so afraid. It's been running on fear. They eat the luge. They're freaking killing, making babies and people terrified and draining the blood out of them in order to get the adrenochrome. This is way out of hand. And we're policing that and guarding that. Even the people guarding that know that this whole thing is ready to blow and stopping to do that. So that was the military background connection, the Neuralink that I saw being tested out on me within my interaction with somebody that was supposed to help me. Via, they also had a military connection there that I was aware of. Knew my social background in order to try to exploit that weakness in me. And also an AA background where they were going to the AA, and AA having the affiliation with the religious background and stuff and their past, and them using our places that we're supposed to go to for help to police us and the ideas and thoughts and people in the community. I did go to the shelter, and several times I was thrown out. I was thrown out of Stanford and gaslighted, and they sent a woman in there to abuse me. They're working. It was crazy. I'm wondering, like, the money that they have to do these psych ops to keep you derailed is just ridiculous. And it's so sad, and it hurts so much. And it feels so surreal. People that I studied with online, thinking that they were my friends, I found out later. You know, and I've studied with many people online, and I did not name any names yet, their platform just to suck intellectual property away from people, never into no. I was wondering why I didn't fit in and why it wasn't feeling right. They were about sex trafficking, I found out. Everything they did was initiating protocols and stuff like that that the gang stalkers use, that you can find in the books and stuff that we're writing, and the stuff that I found, Anthony Patch and other stuff that I researched on. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is what's happening to me. This is why it's happening. I still wanted to believe. Say I went from one system to another, from church into the consciousness community, you know, just trying to believe, you know what I'm saying, that what I was seeing was real, that the people that I was seeing was real, that I was being real. I wanted to be a real life girl, and without realizing that my mentality alone was so abrasive and was really rubbing up against something very powerful. And I had to fight to get the information to figure out who I was and how I fit into this picture. And there you go with my birth date and stuff, and astrology and occult systems and magic, and how through the straw man, through our social security number, they know who you are and they're policing you. They're watching you. They're watching you. In Trenton, I was kicked out by the women that were running the shelter. And I thought I was losing my mind. They were gaslighting me in there and actually using, did they have military background? Did they have connections with the Vatican? Were they Masons? Or you know, I don't know. You know, I know as an individual citizen, stuff is coming to a head and we're still caught in the middle. I don't see nobody offering no help. I see I'm still caught in the middle, fighting for my life, trying to explain this, to at least leave a freaking record if they dust me off. If my creator is finished with me, it would be about being the work, so I'm still doing the work. This is my work. This is how my story is your story, my Casa Sukasa. This is Siren Bodhisattva medicine. This is what I was born and I was made for. I'm an incest survivor. I'm also a survivor of the system. I want to live. I don't want to just survive. You see me spending a lot of time living, and I live within the realms of spending time with our creator and higher vibrational frequencies, which I have to fight to get. And so I share what I learn. Each one teach one. They use the military, the media, yeah, and the military. They talk to each other through the television programming, through the internet, through signs and symbols and stuff, like the movie They Live. And you would have to know the signs and symbols. So basically, you know, that's some of the reasons why I'm still here and why I've been going through what I'm going through. I've desperately been asking for your help so that I can move on. It takes a lot of effort to edit, to study, even under these circumstances, to deal with the different dynamics. You in there who's intelligent, you in there who's spiritual, you in there who's me, who knows that what I'm saying is true. I could use your help and support. Come visit me at Regina's Rabbit Hole, Siren Buddha Medicine, on the YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share, and please donate, because it would help me supplement my income to be able to be so much more helpful and at least safeguard my environment, where I won't have to share it with love bites, or, you know, at least, you know, I could safeguard my environment. The things that I learned, there's things that I learned that I can't even try out to show you how they work because I can't afford them. But I'm sharing everything, not everything, but I'm sharing a lot of the things that I'm learning with you, so that you can survive, so that you can get it, so that I can have a conversation with you. So that's my selfish motivation, is that so that I can have a conversation with you. And as this thing develops, and as my grandchildren and children grow up, that there is going to be a hand or a road there that's more advanced than what I had, trying to figure this freaking crap out by myself. So I'm doing my part. Much love to you and yours.